welcome back to Broken and Brilliant. I'm Carrie O'Toole, and here with me again is Melinda Cadwallader.
Yes.
And we're joined again by our special guest, Danny Oertli. Welcome back.
All right, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, we learned last time that we have a few things in common here, and thought we would talk a little bit about parenting and families and adoption and step parenting, single parenting, all of those type of things. And you've had experience with all of the above.
Yeah. You know what? After biological child with my first wife, then we adopted Jack. Then my wife passed away. Then I remarried. Then we had a biological daughter with Raina. So we have 3 kids from 3 birth moms in our house.
Wow.
We have 3 firstborns and a really insecure dog. So that's kind of our house. And I tell people all the time, it's a little puzzle that only God could have put together.
Yeah.
So I didn't see all the pieces or know where they all were, but somehow God brought them.
Absolutely. Well, share with us some of the struggles that you have seen through the whole journey, and then let's talk about what the blessings are that kind of sneak in through the back door.
Yeah. If my wife Raina were here, and she's actually at the kids' school helping do something this morning.
Great.
But I think if she were here to talk, she would say that first year was really difficult as a mom, and coming in, and I guess at that point Grace was 6, Jack was like 3 years old, something like that, and she really struggled going from being a single girl, being able to wake up late on a Saturday and take a walk in the park, to all of a sudden you're a wife, you're a mom, you have 2 kids. There's this story that kind of surrounds you, and people want to know how you're doing, and there's this pressure, and I remember her telling me, and this is maybe kind of funny for your listeners, but I'm going to say it anyways, but she said, I can't even go into the restroom without little fingers reaching under the door still trying to get at me. It's like there's no more quiet time, me time.
Well, and if you are a biological mom of your children, then that comes along slowly. You raise them from newborns, and you're excited when the little fingers
slowly. Yeah, she came in and went 0 to 60 in a couple days.
Absolutely. I remember when my husband and I had been married about 6 months. We watched my nieces for my aunt and uncle, and at the time they were 6, 4, and 2, and we were overwhelmed. We just had them for a weekend, and it was that type of experience for 3 days. Right. And I remember saying, man, let's have them one at a time. Oh my gosh, this is overwhelming, just crazy. And so to just be thrust into that, I mean, I'm sure she was very excited and in love and all of that, and loves the kids, but man, that's
physically exhausting
change.
And emotionally just catching up. And from the outside, it looked like, this family suffered a tragedy. This wonderful girl came in, and now there's bookends to this story, and everything's happy. And in a lot of ways, that was really true. She was springtime after a long winter for us.
Right.
But also, there was a lot of change in family dynamics, and it's not easy to do those things.
Well, thinking about just what she went through, having to just become selfless all of a sudden. And not to say that she was selfish, but when you are single, you don't have to really think about anybody else. I mean, you think about your coworkers and your family and all of that, but your life kind of doesn't have to revolve around them. And then all of a sudden, you've got these little dependent people that are right there 24/7.
Well, and thankfully, Raina came more naturally than I would have to that selflessness. Oh my goodness, it would have been a struggle for me. But I'll tell you, one of the bigger struggles is the little kids are trying to adjust too. And so I remember Gracie, just kind of crying and running around, and Raina's talking to her, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And this is literally in the first week that we were married and came back and trying to put this family back together. And I remember Gracie telling Raina, I don't know who everybody is. Are you my mom? Is grandma my mom? Is my other grandma my mom? It's like, what am I doing? And so there's confusion, and you need to just kind of remember, hey, everybody's
They're
adjusting.
just little kids.
Everybody has these new roles, and it's going to take time, and we're not going to do it perfect.
And it doesn't matter how great everyone's heart is toward everybody else. I mean, the adjustment's going to have to happen. You cannot just do something like that and just assume that it'll be perfect and there won't be any glitches and all of that.
You know what? And I think God kind of opened my eyes one day. There was a big snowstorm here in Colorado. It was a huge one right around Christmas. And I was out shoveling, and we couldn't even get out of our neighborhood. And right towards the end of the shoveling, I thought, I'm going to invite everybody over for Christmas tonight, and the doors are just open. So I came back and I said, and I made all these calls in the other room, and I said, guess what, Raina? I invited everybody over for a big Christmas party. And she starts, so you guys get it. Apparently I did.
My.
She's crying, and she's like, the house is a mess. Kids haven't, there's no food, and somehow we...
Bless your heart.
Yes, that's exactly... I'm better than since then. So threw everything in the closet, all the trash and everything. Everybody came over that night, and I'm watching Raina serve everybody, and I see my mom and I see my sister doing all this work, and it hit me that being a mom can be the most sincere worship you ever do. And, it may not be spending 4 hours reading the scripture. It's wiping noses. It's making lunches. It's playing with your kids.
Yes.
And it's the hardest work you can possibly do, but it is probably the most sincere worship you will do here on this earth.
Well, you kind of did that, too. For those years after your wife died, and before Raina came along, you were mom and dad. Yeah. So I think maybe you have, and also being an extrovert, I think helps a little bit in that, too. You may have some more intuitive parts of you or something that you're willing to talk about and express more so than maybe an introvert, but it seems like you picked up on that pretty quickly with Raina and were able to kind of jump in.
I sure tried. I think she taught me far more than I taught her, but we just tried to both kind of figure it out. And,
right.
And I think for whatever it was, that moment when I looked around and I just thought, this is worship. Parenting is hard, but it's worship. It is honoring God.
Well, and with your career, you know a lot about worship. I mean, you go to churches all the time. You do different things. Tell us a little bit about that. Yeah. And just thinking about how you're standing up there on a stage doing music and leading other people into worshiping God, and yet you see a comparison with your wife and your children. That's just an interesting...
it's amazing how God teaches us through our families. And I should just make a record and call it all the things God taught me through my family. And every song is like a kid's song, and a dad's song, and a grandpa's song, and another kid's song. But that's experientially and through stories, I think, is how God loves to teach us. If you look at Jesus, he's continually sharing stories, and something in our mind resonates with those stories. It reaches deeper into our souls. And then when you add music kind of fills in those cracks that words can't even get to.
Yeah.
Well, I think it lets your defenses down. You let your defenses down a little bit because you're not being taught something. You don't think, it's not a school type setting where it's a lecture and you're trying to learn something, and so you relax a little bit, and it allows your brain to kind of learn on that emotional level rather than just the cognitive level.
Oh, absolutely. I have a pastor friend of mine who always tells me, he's like, I could preach 50 sermons and people might remember this or that, but if you have a song that touches people's hearts, 50 years later they will remember one line from that song that hit them. And I think that's how God designs us. He designs us for story, and he designs us for music. And
well, for those of you watching this time, I want you to go back and check out the last podcast, because Danny sang the song that he wrote for his first wife. Or for his daughter, actually, about her mom. Right. And that's one of the things, I think that's actually how we connected, because I heard you singing that at church one time, and I looked you up, and we actually met and had lunch one time. But I so related to that, and that is a song I'll never forget. And it's just one of those songs that so sits with somebody if you've struggled or if you've been through a loss of some kind. Music and the words and the story can really impact somebody's heart that way. And that's what that song did for me.
And that, thank you. There's no greater compliment to a songwriter than that somebody resonated, because that's the goal of a songwriter, is to find a theme that's common enough that other people can say, that's my story too.
Right. And it doesn't have to be the exact same story.
No.
I mean, because I'm a woman, I didn't lose my spouse. You know, it's not the same story.
It's the emotion.
Absolutely.
The emotion.
And as we're talking about families and all of that, the emotion that goes along with being a dad, with being the parent of an adopted child, of being a step parent, the emotion that goes along with that, I think sometimes just teaches us some even deeper things than maybe if you haven't gone through that thing. I'm not saying you're more special, because you're not.
Yeah, I concur.
Absolutely. Because sometimes, I'm an adoptive mom, and sometimes people, oh, you're so special. No, you're not. You just did things a little bit differently. But we do deal with things sometimes that other families maybe don't understand or haven't had to go through. And maybe it just takes you down a different path. It's just a different journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And our son, Jack, who is now 13, came to us by way of adoption. And it's so interesting watching him grow and not knowing the past of his biological parents that much, right. but seeing his what resonates with him, and trying to find the fire and spark that, what with all your kids, really, what puts the fire in their eyes, right. and figuring it out with Jack. But it can be hard to adopt. It really can.
What were some of the struggles that you went through?
Oh boy, it's interesting. I still remember Jack, and he still has the pictures from his biological dad. Gave him pictures of the family. All like, this is Grandpa so and so, this is Aunt so and so, and has pictures on the back, or names on the back of these pictures. And as Jack has grown up, he keeps them in a drawer, and every now and then he'll look around and say, okay, that's Aunt so and so, and this is so and so, and I don't know who these people are. I've never met them. I don't know where they are. And part of me, maybe the insecure part, I don't know what it is, was like, oh, I just kind of want to put this in a drawer. This is your family now.
Sure.
Right.
But at the same time, he's processing, who am I? Not only in this family, but who did God make me to be? What's my past? Where am I going? So I think as I share that story, I think the struggle, but the beauty is in the honesty of sharing the journey. And we determined long ago that as soon as Jack could possibly begin to understand, even before he could understand, we were going to tell him that he was adopted.
Right.
Yeah.
And you weren't adopted because we felt sorry for you. We adopted you because we wanted that God brought this opportunity. We wanted you part of our family.
Right. Yeah.
I can't believe we were lucky enough to get you. Of all those kids that were around, God brought us you.
Yes.
It's the magic of adoption. There's a lot of difficulties to it.
There's always, what I found too, is there's always this hidden gem that the Lord just reveals about the connection in your adoption, because He's ordained it since the beginning of time. My daughter, who's the cancer survivor, she was adopted by my husband while she was undergoing chemo.
Yeah.
And that was just like, her dad was never in her life. He wasn't a part of any of our journey with her. And so during that time of uncertainty, living in a hospital, my husband was like, that's it. She has to be mine. We're a family, we're a unit. Yeah. She needs my name, she needs my covering, and, enough of this, wondering. And so we made it happen. And years later, we have a friend who does name reading, and she kind of prays about it, intercedes, and researches the true meaning of your name, and always brings to light some truth that the Lord has for you.
Fascinating.
And my husband's middle name is Alan. My daughter's middle name is Alana, which is the female version of Alan. And it was just that, so she made that connection that we had never made before. That was the Lord saying she was his.
Right.
Years ago when she was born. Not that day at the hospital when the adoption.
You may not have known that when you were naming her.
Right.
But
never knew. Like that was so the Lord. And that's those revelations where now, like, they are amazing. I mean, they're buddies. It's like, she is his daughter. And it's so amazing to see that, because that is the Lord. That's where, those moments of adoption where He's like, this is ordained. I did this. And that's so cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
And Danny, people who have adopted, I think it's much more common these days to tell the kids. I think it's wise. Yeah. You hear stories about people 40 years ago or whatever that didn't know until all of a sudden they're 40 years old. And it's like, can you imagine finding something that important out?
We still laugh about it. When Raina and I were first dating, this is the first couple weeks, and so she's finding out about the kids, and I remember her asking about Jack, and I'm like, well, Jack is adopted, and her eyes, she knew a little bit of the story. She's like, wow. And she goes, have you told him? And she didn't know, and so I just, I kind of play a little joke. I'm like, man, I've been waiting for the right time. And it just feels like right now, and it feels like you should be the one to do it.
So, you said that?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my gosh.
And you know, she didn't know me well enough to know. I think she thought I was joking, but she didn't want to.
And she didn't run.
Yeah, no. But I remember her eyes getting big. I'm like, yeah, why don't you go tell him? Tell him he's adopted. And you know, after a few seconds, she just hit me and was like, that's not funny, but it's still funny. It was 12 years ago. It's still funny.
That's good. That's good. Well, Danny, we're going to invite you to sing some more here. And thank you so much. I just want to say this has been such a blessing to all of us. Yeah. And love having you here. I feel so blessed to be able to do this.
This is an honor. And for those people listening and watching, all of us have stories. And God can redeem all of those stories, and you're not alone. That's what I would tell people. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we will get right back to you with some great music. So thanks so much for joining us. Great. See you next time.
Thanks.
The wind blows your hair on this warm, I need the tune that will drive me crazy.
Sorry. That'll drive me nuts. That's the only thing about this old guitar is that it's Grandpa's a little finicky. He just he sounds good. It's a Martin D28. There's only 500 made this year. 49? I think it's 47 or 49. They're super. Yeah, I'm lucky to have this. Yeah. I love it. Okay, let's try that again.
The wind blows your hair on this warm November night. Your small hand in mine, and eyes that ask me why. But I don't know, I don't know. But somewhere in the sky, beyond the mountain peaks, the moon will find its voice as the sun lays down to sleep. And you ask me why she's gone, and I don't know where to start. As the sunset lights your face, I see God knows how to heal little hearts. So he has Mommy paint the sky in deep ocean blue. She swirls the clouds of red to dance just for you. And Mommy paints the sky with the laughter of God, and there by Jesus' side, so high above, as if to say it won't be long, Mommy paints the sky. The heavens flame with gold, slowly changing you. The brilliance of a stage that was made to shine for you. And with each amber flare, you watch her hand at play. Tender kisses fall as she paints what words could never say. And Mommy paints the sky as if to say it won't be long. Mommy paints the sky, as if to say it won't be long. Mommy paints the sky. The Bible tells us in Revelation 2:17 that God has a name for us that we've never heard. That before the beginning of time, He wrote this name on a white stone. And when we get to heaven, God will tell us our true name. It's called White Stone. There's a name you've never heard, one I gave you long before you birth. Carved it deep on a stone, a secret no one else would ever know. In the springtime of the stars, I knew your name. Through the centuries, I've waited for this day. Welcome home, my son. I know the road was long, but I was with you all the way. And I have always known just where you belong. And I've given you a name, you a name. Did you hear every song I sang to you to keep you holding on? And could you feel a love so deep, enfolding you but just beyond your reach? Every longing that you have has been for me. I've been calling you from far beyond the sea. Welcome home, my son. I know the road was long, but I was with you all the way. And I have always known just where you belong. And I've given you a name. Welcome home, my son. I know the road was long, but I was with you all the way. Given you a name, you a name, you a name. Okay, here we go. This is snow in Colorado on a 75-degree day in Colorado. Quiet underneath this winter sky, and all the trees are blanketed in white, and I can see my breath upon the air, rising through the pine trees like a prayer. The snow in Colorado's falling down, a million tiny diamonds on the ground, and my soul is full of wonder somewhere in the snow in Colorado, in Colorado. I walk beneath the shrouded moon above. Lazy snow floats down into my gloves. The drifts are polished silver in light. Silent sentinels to share the night. The snow in Colorado is falling down. A million tiny diamonds on the ground. And my soul is full of wonder somewhere in the snow. And I smile as I remember what the weatherman had said. I'd be better off inside, safe and warm. But I hear the rhythm calling, the enchantment of the night, and I long to hear the music of the storm. And the snow in Colorado's falling down. A million tiny diamonds on the ground. And my soul still fills with wonder the older that I grow. There is magic in the snow in Colorado. In Colorado.